Justice League Darkseid War is one of the best superhero films ever. It might not have that much to do with the comics, but it definitely works. Picking up right at the end of Aquaman Akalabeth, we finally get to have Darkseid, played by Josh Brolin, in full action, tanking the Phantom Zone projector and merging it with his killer glove. Josh Brolin's awesome voice fits the role so perfectly. And this movie's pretty ballsy even at the beginning with the death of Orm and Valko. And even showing one of the strongest members of the League, Martian Manhunter, getting completely walloped by Darkseid and tossed back to Earth. He calls Bruce, and he's already landed in Ken Nelson's mansion. And Nabu explains Darkseid is a new god, and at the creation of the universe, some of the most important things in life were created, including the emotional spectrum that makes up life. And Darkseid and the new gods of Apocalypse want to eclipse this light by using something even worse, an anti-life equation, by using all the MacGuffins from the last couple of films to eclipse the light. The Phantom Zone projector, an orange lantern ring, Eclipso's black diamond, the Helm of Fate, the orb from Legion of Superheroes, and the Scepter of Starro, which is currently merged with Red Tornado. Also, canonically, Ben & Jerry's has a Batman and Martian Manhunter flavor. That's funny. Then Steppenwolf attacks, and Bruce gets to show off his super slick new outfit. And yet again, Bruce learns from his mistakes because when Bart is pulled into space and he's on the outside, the Impulse suit has an oxygen tank in it. Chris Evans returns and he's in the full black Superman outfit with the beard. It's just so cool seeing everyone meet back up, including the Legion of Superheroes who finally meet up with the team. And this is the point when Mon-El becomes Valar and not just trying to set himself apart. Speaking of, Saturn Girl gets kidnapped by her dad. Inside the Phantom Zone, we finally see Lord Zod again. He's become the guardian of the Orange Power Battery. It is such a stressful job, he changed actors. To prove that he's worthy enough of the greed, he reluctantly kills Saturn Girl, showing that Darkseid will do anything for his goals. Dr. Fate, Batman, and the Flash meet up with the Legion. And it's kind of funny seeing Mon-El just fangirling about Superman. He grew up listening to all his radio stories and used to wear that shirt while he called himself Superboy for so long, and find out that now he's a fugitive, so he really is just like him.
Went forward in time to view alternate futures. 14,605,000.
How many did we win?
5.
Darkseid's goals from the comics have been changed kind of for the better. That he wants to halve the population of the galaxy to combat overpopulation, including all of New Genesis, in a very Darwinist way. Aquaman Timberwolf and Team Brady make it back to Earth to help out, with Aquaman having a new bionic hand that was up Timberwolf's ass. Bruce, Bart, and Ken stay with the Legion to fight Darkseid on Apocalypse, as the rest are fighting on Earth. The Battle of Berdunia against all the parademons, with John wearing the Thrasher suit from Kingdom Come to protect him, is just so cool. As well as the fight on Apocalypse, which goes really well until Mon-El starts freaking out at the death of Saturn Girl. The big tragedy that Raven has to kill Red Tornado, her love, but then Darkseid just reverses time with all of his powers and just kills him again for the power. Aquaman tries stabbing him.
You should have gone for the head.
Daughter?
Did you do it?
Yes,
What did it cost?
everything.
So yeah, Darkseid wins, which is an incredibly ballsy move. Destiny have to cast including characters Disney fought to have, like Raven and even the Flash.
I don't feel so good. He did it.
I know there's a part 2, but this is an incredibly well done cliffhanger that shocked literally everyone at the time that Disney had the balls to do that. Let's put a pause on that story and talk about The Atom and Bumblebee. It's not a bad film, but much like the first film, it comes out at a very weird time. Well, of course, Lewis and the gang are really funny as always, the best part of the film. Meanwhile, Ryan's under house arrest from the events of Kingdom Come, placed there by Stephen Shin. But Ray Palmer and Karen Duncan take him anyway to build a microverse thing so they can rescue Ray's wife, Jean Lauren, who was trapped there for so many years, and given the ending to the original Adam, Ryan's been seeing visions of her. It's really cool that Karen finally got to have her suit. It looks perfect. A pre-Skyrim Walter Goggin is in this film, so he's pretty famous, so you can just accept that he's that big head guy that's in everything, but you can't remember his name. And he wants to steal the microverse projector thing, and he uses Ratcatcher to do it, because there's not that many of the Atom villains, so they kind of had to borrow one from Batman. They meet up with Ray's former partner, Lawrence Fishburne, as Al Rothstein, the Atom Smasher. He's probably too good of an actor for this role. But I really like that they turn it around, that he's not just some betrayer, that he actually wants to help Ratcatcher because Ray kind of screwed over her dad. They eventually get Jean and help Ratcatcher, and her and Al are on the run. In the post-credits, the reason why we didn't see Ryan in the last film is because he's trapped in the microverse as everyone else was dusted. Brie Larson's Mary Marvel Shazam movie is very controversial because, women! It's definitely not a great film, and honestly, Brie Larson's not a bad actress. I definitely seen her work in other films, but all these other actors in these films have these larger-than-life glow to them that Brie just doesn't. She definitely works better when she's playing off other people than just by herself, which kind of also works for the character. The film significantly improves when we meet up with Waller, and the film kind of becomes a buddy cop with them too. Also, this movie is set in the 90s, and we finally, after all this build-up, what does the A in A. Waller stand for? And it's just Amanda. Ha ha, it's a guy with a girl's name. Also, Coulson lives. You would have known that if you watched the not really canon Agents of Argus show. Mary and Waller have great interactions with each other. The villains are certainly there, and I probably couldn't tell you their names even if I did look them up. Ugh. But more importantly, the film does set up the Imperium, which will be important later. Justice League Endgame is the finale to an 11-year story, which started all the way back to 2008's Batman. I was 7 years old when that came out, and when Endgame came out, I was a senior in high school. I still think the film holds up wonderfully, even without that 11 years of build-up. Some people were disappointed with it, but when the hell aren't they? Even in the opening scene, when Grail and Bruce are saved from deep space by Mary Marvel, and they all come together to try and jump Darkseid just to find out that all the artifacts were destroyed, sets up how dire everything feels. Then 5 years later, in 2023, Ryan Choi somehow escapes the microverse. He meets up with the League and they want to make a time machine, Eric Stoltz style, with the microverse. But Bruce doesn't want to give up his future with his wife Vicky Vale and his daughter Helena. But then after a little, probably too easy convincing from Ja'an, they consider multiverse theory, and luckily the Time Police aren't written yet, so they're gonna do it. Also, Ja'an is completely fine with going full Martian in public now. The surviving Atlanteans settled in New Atlantis and Bermuda, and Arthur really let himself go because of the shame of not killing Darkseid. It is a little sus that they treat his trauma as such a joke, but I would be lying if I didn't laugh. Block and Forager, remember they exist. Thanks for not helping out in the first part. Connor Hawke has spent the time becoming Sportsmaster, and of course, because movie, he takes that mask off in like 5 seconds because certain Netflix series become canon. Cough, cough. So using the shenanigans of the microverse, they travel back to the first movie, which is really cool. But then they end up losing the Phantom Zone projector to past Orm, so they have to go even further in the past. This is sadly our last Jack Kirby cameo ever because he passed away during the production of this film. Ironically, his last cameo is him as a hippie. Bruce meeting Thomas Wayne was insane. And after a bunch of shenanigans probably causing a lot of doomed timelines and Wonder Woman sacrificing herself, they got all their crap. But unfortunately, Grail gets captured by past Darkseid and replaced by past Grail. But they still have enough time for Martian Manhunter to snap reversely, causing the life equation. But past Darkseid makes it into the future and completely levels the Hall of Justice. Grail kills past Grail before it gets too confusing, but then it looks dire because a whole army of parademons and all Darkseid's Apocalypse pals show up. But then just then, a bunch of portals open and every character humanly possible shows up to help out the Justice League. And then finally, Clark says, "Justice League, action!" And we get one of the coolest climaxes ever. Everyone gets a little bit of time to shine and work off each other. We even see Vicky Vale getting her own batsuit. Oh no, Darkseid gets the killing glove back.
I am inevitable. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!
And so Bruce wipes out the armies of Apocalypse in exchange for his own life. Bruce's death hits so hard because we literally grew up seeing him. It hits incredibly hard. It even brought back Terry McGinnis from Batman 3. The whole Jim Gordon comforting Helena and saying she can have all the cheeseburgers in the world is such a nice callback to the first film. Then everyone starts heading out, with Tula becoming the new king of New Atlantis, and Aquaman joins the Legion of Superheroes with past Stargirl. Clark decides to head back in the past and return all the MacGuffins, but he also decides to stay in the past and live the life he missed out on with Lois because he was trapped in the Phantom Zone for all those years. And he even gave up his superpower so he can grow old with her. And he officially gives the cape to John Henry. Honestly, this is probably the perfect ending to the original team. And I'm definitely not going to be the kind of person that says they should have just stopped making movies after this point, but if they did, this would have been the great finale. And then Flash Far From Home came out very soon after, and the trailer spoiled the whole mural. This is a good film, but it's pretty awkwardly placed and should have just been the beginning of Phase 4. Much like how The Atom should have just been the beginning of Phase 3. Bar Allen dealing with the effects of the snap and trying to be a more independent hero from Batman is really well handled in this film. Some might say the trio going on a Euro trip at school might be a little too lighthearted following the events of Justice League Endgame, but I feel it's completely granted after the very sad ending to the last film. Valeria Perez and Bart's relationship is very cute. Of course, we can't go anywhere without there being supervillains, so we have the Elementals attacking. And Jake Gyllenhaal, who almost played Barry Allen back in the Sam Raimi times, is now playing Abracadabra. He claims to be a hero from another dimension, but in reality, he is in fact a leader of a bunch of disgruntled employees of Wayne Enterprises, which makes him, plus the costume, one of the most accurate adaptations of the characters in these films. He's a big fat phony. A lot of people were upset that the Elementals were also just robot illusions built by Abracadabra, which I guess it would have been cool if they were the real ones, but still, I think it is a unique idea that he is faking just to look cool. But then also Abracadabra frames Bart with AI and just doxes his identity, even though the Vladivostok Accord should have leaked it anyway. Also, J.K. Simmons returns as Harrison Wells, which is awesome. Let me know your guys' opinions down below. Hitting that like button and subscribing is very appreciated.